Bonjour et bienvenue. Welcome back at long last to famous interviews. It's a brand new episode with a brilliant new look, I think positively posh. Egbert, me producer, insisted on keeping those glitzy garish curtains, but I thought they were a rather cliché bit. Now, all I need is a handsome hunk in a Speedo, serving cocktails. Well, enough about the mise-en-scène and back to moi, your very naughty missing mistress. I return to you quite contrite from my elongated leave of absence. No, loves, I haven't been ill, nor deserted you, nor, frankly, forgotten how essential you are to this show. In fact, if it weren't for you consistently clicking me parts, the parts posted on the tube, of course, I wouldn't have bothered to reappear. But here I am, and I have faith you'll forgive me when I disclose how I've been otherwise engaged. No, Egbert, not that type of engaged, heavens. I haven't had the good fortune to have met number one yet. Met a lot of number twos, but no numero uno. There we go. Anyhow, now, wait, what was I saying? Oh, yes, of course. So sorry for the large gap. But I've been terribly tied up with my titillating task of making a major motion picture. Yes, starring yours truly. I can feel your excitement, and you can feel mine. But we're not here to feel each other's excitements, are we? No, we're here to have a one-on-one with another diva of dialogue, a queen of comedy endowed with delicious drollery, the very recently dearly departed Dame Edna Everage. Yes, believe it or not, she had a rather large, how shall I put this? Influence, that's the word, influence. She had a large influence on moi. I had the marvellous good fortune of having a friend who could afford the exorbitantly priced tickets to her one-woman show on Broadway. And blow me, she was aces, had me gobsmacked, starstruck, and frankly, aspiring to one day attempt to duplicate her mastery of the moment. So, let's not dilly-dally any longer. Let's get right to the conjuring, shall we? So, I give you this light, maybe. 3 flames I ignite to brighten your flight. To see my vocal coach. Dearest Dame Edna, I offer you these humble flowers, once known to be your choice. Their fragrance have a mighty power that sing out like a voice. Commune with us, Dame Edna. Commune with us. Cruise amongst us. Schmooze amongst us. For heaven's sakes, no rumpy-pumpy. Coming through as a doodle, darling. Hello, possum! Hello, viewers! Or if you feel you've seen me somewhere before, hello, deja viewers! That's better. I see you noticing my slit. I hope I'm not overdressed. Oh, I see I am. Oh, darling, you look marvellous. And you look like you've gone through a bit of trouble yourself. Not a lot of trouble, but a bit of trouble. And isn't it amazing how you can still throw yourself together and look so lifelike? I beg your pardon? Don't play coy. Rumour has it you've said the big adios. Sadly, I don't speak Spanish. I do Spanish, but I don't speak it. What I mean to say is you've joined the choir eternal. I sing solo. I can see this is going to be difficult. How can I express it so that even you can understand? You've been deleted, done in, met your maker, made like a frog and croaked.
Oh, you mean bit the big one, browned the bread, bought the farm?
And you have my sincerest sympathies. And don't fret about your features decaying the way they have. It happens to all of us ghosts.
Decaying? Damie, dearest, I didn't die. I'm very much alive.
Well, either way, you have my sympathies. And what a privilege to have you here on my show.
I'm afraid you've got it arse over tit, dear. You're a guest on my little chat show. You're the first to appear in me new digs.
Oh, and it's breathtaking. Perhaps they could open a window. You know, I did my show, my wonderful show, all over the world. But to be here with you now, I am humbled. Yes, I am humbled. But I would be if I knew how.
Oh, dearest darling, you flatter me.
You must have misunderstood. Here. Where is it? Put this on.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
It's the badge, dear, the badge. It's just if I forget your name.
But my name isn't Marty.
It's closer than you think. Just put it over here.
Didn't you have these on your own little chat show? I forget what you called it.
The Dame Edna Experience. My celebrity rehab and wellness facility.
Yes, that's it. Oh, I'd have loved to have appeared on that.
I only had famous people, high achievers, royalty, and people who were so important I couldn't even mention their names or show their faces.
Well, you must have had a lot of movie stars. Who would you say was the sexiest?
And a lot of them were. Zsa Zsa Gabor, they were little before even your time. Jane Fonda, well, all the traps and pulleys holding her up nowadays. Poor Jane. Liza Minnelli, dear Liza, such a sweet knock-off of her lovely mum.
No. Well, yes. But what I meant was, who was the sexiest man you interviewed?
Well, Possum, a lot of people find Tom Cruise to be very sexy. I'm not one of them. I suppose Mel Gibson was quite the hottie before the bloat. Tom Jones, Rudolph Nureyev, Malcolm McDowell. No, I'd have to say the sexiest man I ever had on my show was Sean Connery. I'd have given up my 00 for his 7 any time.
Such a handsome man and such a nice package, with lovely brown hair, then lovely white.
Just like yours. And look what you've done with it. Used to look like a bit of fluff, or something a bit of fluff would wear. Well, it's a look, I'd have to say. Style might be a bit of an overkill, but it's quite a different do for you.
Well, thank you, I think. It was created and styled by me wildly artistic, sweet, sensitive son, Cecil. I thought I'd give him a go at it.
Is that legal now in the States?
No, just between you and I, or as Truman Capote insistently insists, just between you and me. It's not actually all me own hair. No, he pinned me with a wee little piece of his own.
He pricked you?
A hairpiece, dear. It's a hairpiece meant to amplify the volume.
I'd thought of going into wigs, but my own hair is so exotic. This is my natural colour, with a matching bikini line. Well, your new style is very effective. Tell your son he's welcome to come up and poke around in my hair whenever he likes. I have a son too, Kenny. Till the day I die, and I urged him to find a nice girl and settle down. But he never did. He says he's still looking.
Where's he looking?
In the wrong places. He's quite accomplished, my Kenny. He's lectured in flower arrangement, been a flight attendant, a choreographer, and can whistle any show tune you'd care to mention. He's a man's man.
My own Cecil's the same. I did want to be a Grams someday. I've often wondered. Well, they can be such a comfort, sons, can't they? Especially when you get to a certain, as life goes, when they grow up.
I never had the time to raise my family properly. What with my racing up the ladder of mega stardom. And honestly, I always found men to be a disappointment.
My only disappointment is trying to find one at all. And weren't you married?
Yes, I was. And I'm sorry to say, well, all right, I'll say it. My husband was a disappointment because he passed away.
Quel fromage! You know, the biggest disappointment of my life was when Frederick, Cecil's deadbeat dad, abandoned me at the altar. Oh, darling, don't be sad. It was a long time ago, a long time ago.
I'm not sad. I was thinking about something else while you were talking.
Well, pardon-moi. And what were you contemplating with such a broody face?
I wasn't brooding. I was thinking about Norm.
Your late husband. Yes, we have a lot in common. I miss the man I never got, and you the one you did.
No. I'm a happily widowed woman. It's an awful thing to say, perhaps, but, well, it's a relief. He had a prostate problem, you know. He was the first prostate transplant recipient.
I've never heard of that.
His doctor said there was a big chance his organ could be rejected. And I said to them, you ought to be pretty used to that by now. So, Marty.
Mary, my dear, Lady Mary Poser.
I never would have guessed you a lady.
Well, me daddy was a baron. Me mum was the real lady in the family.
I can see that. So how did you get your title if you never married?
As I said, me father was a baron.
Being the daughter of a baron doesn't entitle you.
Perhaps that's how it works down under.
Well, now you're all down under from where I sit. And even though I am a dame, I'm still just a person. Prick me and I bleed. Only now I bleed ambrosia.
Prick me and I'd think I was dreaming. I do know one thing.
I had a hunch.
It's getting harder and harder to stay attractive to the opposite sex.
Well, you don't get a face like that from eating strawberries.
Speaking of faces, whatever became of your sidekick, that Minger Madge?
Ah, poor spinster Madge. She was my sidekick. She'd stand at my side and I'd kick her. She died celebrating her 100th birthday, you know. I told her to drink responsibly, but she never paid attention. Fell off her chair and shattered like a cheap glass. Like that one.
How unfortunate. Though 100's really rather a ripping ripe old age.
She's up there right now, waiting in vain for an invitation.
To my show?
She's desperate, terribly bored. Drives me to distraction with stories of her youthful adventures. She was a real flapper in her day. Used to run about like Cher, wearing a cobweb and 2 bottle tops. She She claimed it to have been on the Titanic, you know. Looked like something you'd find on the bottom of the sea, didn't she? And talk about a sunken chest! She was pierced multiply. When there was a high wind, she whistled.
Now, whatever happened to, dare I mention, that fellow who took all the credit for your stardom, Barry Humphries?
That unsavoury character. I never got rid of him. Oh, I'd see him from time to time when he collected his lavish percentage of my earnings. I've often thought he lived his life through me. I was the famous one, and he was, well, I'm going to use the L word now, Marty. He was a loser.
Then why didn't you give him the axe?
I thought of litigation, but, well, I felt sorry for him. He was a small and petty man. He hailed from one of the most affluent suburbs of Melbourne, and you'd think, growing up in such a clean, tasteful, modern, suburban home, he wouldn't end up the filthy, low-down chiseler he became. He grew fat, hitching his wagon to my gig of stardom, but now I'm above it all, and I'd rather be up there with me than down there with him.
And yet you've come all the way down to my show. You know, I must say, I noticed you seem a bit, how should I put this, well, thinner.
Well, we don't get a lot to eat up in the great outback beyond. No, no more kangaroo burgers, no more emu omelettes, possum dairy.
Gelfox Pass, possum dairy. Do you mean blossom dairy, darling? Such a tremendous talent. I had the pleasure of seeing her in the last year she performed, tickling the old ivories.
Played with her gnashers?
No, dear, the piano. She played and sang. Famous jazz pianist.
I've always been partial to hard rock.
And I to rock hard. I was taken by me close and competitive confidante, Too Tight-Lautrec. She spent half the night singing along. Poor Blossom wilted. But I digress.
Oh, heavens. My goodness.
What? What?
I'm sorry to have to be the one to tell you, but, well, here it is. You have super mega fatalistic extra halitosis, and when you breathe out hard enough, it gives me acidosis. Even with my angel's nose, it stinks something atrocious. Reeking, rotten bad breath, it's my final diagnosis.
I'd never host my chacho armed with lethal halitosis. And well, pardonnez-moi, I'm sure. Perhaps a little swish of mother's mouthwash.
I'll just squish over a bit. Are you having any other guests? One of those modern, muscly types, perhaps? Like Tom Daly, you know, the Olympian. He's a cute little tadpole, isn't he? Walking about in his little swatch of a bather to cover his jiggly bits. I wouldn't mind him doing a few laps around me.
He's a diver, dearest. Darling, just between us girls and the rest of the planet Earth, he's a batty boy.
A shirt lifter?
Knob jockey.
Are you saying he's a homosexual?
And Bob's your uncle.
Ah, what lovely flowers. My favourite. Did you know gladioli are bisexual hermaphrodites? They possess both male and female reproductive organs. They're always busy having floral sex. The boys in the band of the flower world.
I saw a production of that back when I was a small child, of course. Very small. It played off Broadway. But you performed on Broadway in 2 sellout shows.
Yes, I had quite an impact there. Quite successful. Though they weren't shows, they were stimulus packages. I tried to bring a little smile to people's lips, and I succeeded. Yes, I had quite an impact in America, quite successful with our little cousins across the pond. Did you ever look at your career and think, how on earth did this happen? We think that, Mary. But success is like love, isn't it? If you seek it out, it doesn't seem to happen. Perhaps you've been looking too hard. I didn't seek it, it came to me, and I was such a lucky person. Well, up until that hip bit. But what you need is to get lucky. It isn't all by chance, you know. Sometimes you have to make it yourself.
I've been making it myself nightly for quite some time now.
Here's a bit of advice. First, if you really want to succeed, you have to grab the bull by the testicles. Be confident you can pull it off. Then comes the gravy. And once you've found it, milk it to the last drop.
You're talking about success.
Secondly, be unoriginal. Don't just imitate others. Make yourself a strong character. Find something wonderful and unique about you. Show it to the world and let them lap it up.
I've been trying to show it to anyone, but I can't find any lappers. Why do you think it is you are so wildly popular?
And that, Marty, brings me to my final piece of advice. Even though I've passed on, the world still adores me. And while practicing my harp, I've tried to analyze this very question. And the answer is so simple. I adore myself. And I think my self-esteem is infectious. I sincerely hope I've infected you. Adore yourself. Someone has to. Get out there and be a plague of positivity. The only difference between you and me is that I was rich and talented, and you're not. Now, I think we've been chatting long enough. I'm sure you can edit this into something wonderful. So I shall take my leave.
So soon?
Poor Madge will be lost without me. Goodbye, Possum, and goodbye, viewers.
Goodbye, darling, goodbye. Well, what a charming chat. Lovely lady. Even though she's Australian, our accents are so similar it might be hard to tell us apart. And really, we have so much in common, she and I, or is it she and me? Well, we both have single sons, a phenomenal flair for fashion, members of the peerage, in spite of her claim, and perhaps most of all, an eternal love of performing pour vous. Of course, I have my own unique style. I am what I am, and what I am, well, it's nothing like her at all. Well, I hope vous enjoyed today's episode as much as I. Me? Moi. And will tune in for my next exciting interview with, well, who knows who. Now, don't forget to like this episode, especially if you did like this episode, and do subscribe to my channel. Merci, chéries. Alors, contrary to the rumors, I am still the very living Lady Mary Posa. And this has been Famous Interviews.